Hey everyone, welcome back. This is week 5 of Inner Sight, and I really am grateful to be doing these. And I'm also grateful for all of you that have been following along. For those of you that like it, feel free to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified of the next week's interview as well. This one is really great. I'm interviewing someone who is a really good thinker, and I've just really enjoyed getting to have a conversations with him, especially since this pandemic started. And I hope you guys enjoy too. Well, after the music, we jump right into a conversation, and feel free to just relax and listen and dig deep with some of his profound thoughts. Thank you so much.
Prophecy, I got a premonition. I'ma let the beat build and do some demolition. Interrupt your whole style, this an inhibition. Kamikaze everybody, Eminem edition.
In the fight card that happened yesterday, today's Monday, huh? So yeah, yesterday there was a fight card, and there was a fighter named Walt Harris. He was on the main card, which was the last fight that happened. He was going against someone named Alistair Overeem. And this guy's a beast. Alistair Overeem, his record is crazy. You know, like, he's a scary guy. And he was going against a beast. But the thing is, a while back, his daughter died. And she was murdered, actually, because she was at college, and one day she just didn't come home. And they just immediately felt like something was wrong. And 33 days later, they found out she was dead, because the people that tried kidnapping her killed her. And this man, and in the exact same, I'm not sure if it's the exact same year or it happened at like the end of last year, but I'm pretty sure it was at the beginning of this year, because it hasn't been that long. Like, he's already fighting. Like, that's some commitment, you know? Like, you lost your daughter. Like, I know how losing a life is, and that is hard, but like a daughter, like I don't know what this man has, but like, that's some true commitment and power. Like, and that shows me that no matter what, I cannot complain. That's why I don't like complaining. Like, if I complain, it's kind of in jest, or as in like it's the analyzing myself way. It's not in an excuse type of way, you know?
Yeah.
That thing right there, like that like shows you can't complain. Like there's people willing to put everything on the line. Like, at least put something on the line, you know?
Mm.
Like, it's just crazy that he was able to come out and fight after what happened, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he ended up sucks, actually. And like, honestly, I kind of think the fight was a little bit like, it wasn't thrown. It's just that Alistair didn't want to get what would you call it? Alistair didn't want to knock him out, you know? He probably felt bad. But if it wasn't thrown, or I mean, if it wasn't that, and Alistair actually tried throwing the fight, then that guy has heart, because he has received one of the nastiest knockouts ever in the UFC. And not only that, he had like a super giant lip cut right there.
Ooh.
Yeah, and like, for him to go into a fight with a guy who just lost his daughter and willingly let this guy to try not letting him knock him out is like, I don't know, it's just super caring. I don't know what else you would say,
Yeah.
but like, it's real humane, I guess, because like, going through the nastiest knockout and letting yourself get knocked out just for this guy, like I love this guy low key. Like, Alistair Overeem is one of the greatest, honestly.
Nice. So what is the earliest memory you have that you can still remember?
It's a weird memory. It's not weird in a like odd sense. It's weird because it's just random. Like, it was just literally a memory of me on the road, and I remember which road it was specifically too. But like, it's literally just that. I don't know why, but like, I remember that, you know?
Just a road. You're driving down a road in Homedale, and that image is in your head?
Yeah, I don't really even know why, but I know for sure I was with my family. Like, my whole family was in the car. Like, maybe that's why I remember it so much. Like, I just remember that road. Like, for some reason, that's like my first memory at all. Like,
Yeah.
and I know it's specific which road it is too. Like, it had like a bend in it, like where it goes straight, bends, and then bends back into the same like path that it was already on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like around some like little manufacturing companies like that would blow smoke, and there was like even little piles of wood that people would normally like just go by and get free wood without people knowing.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. What? So you used to live in Homedale?
Yeah,
Where else have you lived?
Marsing and Caldwell, and
Okay.
Boise, and Melba, and that's all I know. Melba, Boise, Caldwell, not Nampa, my bad. But everything else that I listed,
Hmm.
like that's the only places I remember.
Why'd you guys move so much?
Um, just kind of, we weren't financially stable at the time, but we're good now. But at the
Hmm.
time, we weren't. But we moved a lot, and I guess it wasn't bad for me. I'm not gonna say nothing like try to get pity, but like in a way, it kind of like set me back because there are things that I notice about myself that aren't exactly there or up to par with other people, as in like my name remembering skills. Like you can tell me your name and like I'm probably gonna forget it in like the next 40 seconds. Like now I'm
Hmm.
not trying to be a jerk or anything, but like it's just something I have.
Yeah, just because you move so much. Um, so what was it like moving all the time? I mean, was it ever difficult? Besides from the name thing, like, was there ever a moment where, like, maybe let's talk about the first time you moved. You were out of school, you moved to a different school. What was the most challenging thing about that? Or was it difficult at all?
Um, I would say it wasn't really difficult for me just because I was young, and the bonds that I had weren't really strong. But at the same time, it was pretty difficult, just like because when you first move, you're probably literally like losing everyone you know.
Hmm.
I mean, in a way, like it's not gonna matter in the long run, But as a child, you're probably gonna feel like you're losing a lot of people, and
Yes.
as a child, I for sure kind of felt like I lost friends because there were specific people that I didn't want to lose, But life just happens how it happens.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, so, and then can you tell me about, you were once telling me about a friend that you felt was really, like your first really close friend from that first school. Can you just tell me a bit about him?
Um,
What made
it
you
was
guys so close?
yeah. All right. Well, wouldn't really know how to pinpoint what made us so close, but I just remember that I met him like in elementary, and
Mhm.
well, yeah, he was my first friend, of course, but he was like my first best friend, and I met him like in the back of a classroom when a teacher moved me, and like we just started talking. Like I think I might have introduced myself to him. I don't even know, but like we just ended up becoming like real close friends for a bit, and like there was this one time where he even ended up ditching his dad to hang, which was pretty down. But we even did like some cool little things that like right now I can't do with you can't do it with friends when you're in high school. But like as a
Yeah.
kid, like doing like projects with your best friend is like the dopest thing ever.
Yeah, of course. So
Or
he
moving,
so he ditched his dad for you, his own
yeah,
dad.
because that was this one time we were doing like a project where you had to like put like a few mechanisms together, and like it would just get to an end point, like as in like it pop a balloon or like it break an egg, but like this thing would hit this thing and this thing would swing and all this little stuff would happen.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I love those.
And we're just hanging around and making one. And I guess his dad was supposed to take care of him for a few days, and his dad said if he wanted to come with me, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good." And
Mhm.
we just ended up hanging that day. We didn't even do the project. We just hung, like we played zombies and stuff because that's one of the we did.
Nah, that's sweet. That's cool. So yeah, and then obviously it was probably hard, to move to the next school, having a friend like that. But
Yeah, but I got used to it. Like
mhm.
at this point, like it's nothing at all. Like
Yeah.
nothing at all.
So where were you? So you were born in Boise. Where were your siblings born? Were they all born
Um,
in Boise?
my little brother was born in the United States, and my older brothers and my sisters, or my sister, was born in Mexico.
Okay.
But yeah, but I don't really know where though.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm just curious. So you have, your older siblings are born in Mexico. You were born in the U.S. Do you ever like, do you have a strong sense of like where is home to you? Do you feel like, Mexico is more your home, U.S. is more your home? Do you feel like a certain town or a certain house you lived in was really like your one home? where do you think is home?
Um, I would say it wouldn't really be a physical thing rather than like with people, because like if you were to be like living in a hell, then it's not gonna be a home no matter what, you know. Like you can be living in a place, but it's not gonna feel like a good place. Like you're not gonna feel safe, nothing like that. So it wouldn't really be a home, you know. But for me, like family and friends, just like talking gets my mind off things, kind of. Even though I'm kind of like I may not seem it sometimes. I'm actually kind of a quiet person.
Um, we were talking earlier. Do you feel that you know, do you feel any sort of more loyalty towards one country or the other?
I've never been to Mexico. I don't know if I'm gonna go in a long while at least. So I don't feel any loyalty towards Mexico. You know,
Mm.
like I'm a Mexican American, I guess. Though I don't really claim American. I don't claim anything. You know, the same way I don't conform to religion. I don't conform to any country.
Mm.
Nothing. Like even if legally I'm American, I'm not American. I don't care. Like I'm just an individual. I don't really care.
Does that affect you? You think?
Does that affect me?
Yeah.
I guess it affects my thoughts, like, because someone could be like pro-American, you know, and they'll be like, how could I say it? I don't know. They'll just go around doing stuff because they want to help people, and that's a good thing. But like sometimes they can be conceited in a way, in an American way, you know. But I don't know. I just if I'm gonna be doing something, I want to do it without having a tag on my back, you know, like as in Republicans or a Democrat. It's the same thing. Like
Mm.
the same way a party is useless because it describes something that isn't real, which is a term that's made by a human. The same way I don't really care about like American or Mexican terms like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's literally just a tag made by people. So
Mm. Yeah. No, that's fascinating. One thing I enjoy as far as spending time with you is that you speak so eloquently, and you've really shared some really cool concepts about how humans can interact with each other. And one thing I remember you sharing was this idea of when two parties or two like groups are arguing with each other, in a way they're really both in the wrong. So I'm just imagining kind of what we were talking about, like Democrats, Republicans, one country versus the other. Can you elaborate a bit on that? Like, how is it that when people are arguing, that in a way both of them are in a wrong?
well, I guess the first thing I can say is nothing on the surface is really how it seems, you know? Like when you look at something, there's always a deeper meaning or a deeper story behind it, you know? And like when you have two opposing conflicts, these conflicts both think they're in the right, like, because, you know, everybody has this God complex, you know? Or they always like favor themselves in a way, I guess. And when you have these two opposing conflicts, if something happens in between them that starts this conflict, like something like one of the sides were to go over to the other side and like kill somebody, you know, now the other person wants to have what would you call it, like some lawful action, you know, and this lawful action would be hidden by the use of a word like lawful action or something, or I guess justice. But this thing wouldn't really be justice because it's all it really is vengeance. They just cover it using a word like justice. But the thing is, all you're doing is getting back at someone for something that they did. And what you're doing is hurting another individual to do it, or like causing damage. And in a way, you're not wrong because they did do something to you. But now that you do this, you're doing something wrong, and it can impact people that aren't even part of the process, you know, like that didn't have anything to do with it. And the thing is, like I said, nothing is like how it seems, and nothing is how it should be either. Like over the last 200 years, humans are supposed to be nose breathers, and we're also supposed to have our tongue like resting on the top of on the top of our mouth. But now we're mouth breathers, and our tongue like lays at the bottom. Like
Uh-huh.
some people do that, you know. Like we're not supposed to work like that at all. We're literally meant for breathing out of our nose. We have been programmed for like the last billions of years to breathe out of our nose, and now we just like switch it up like nothing. Like if it's nothing, and like it seems like it's nothing too, you know. But on the surface, like I said, nothing's really how it seems. But yeah, like I said, nothing's how it seems. Like everything has a little story behind it. Like even like I don't know, just like well anything can have like a deeper meaning behind it, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Maybe you could also share a little bit about, because I think they're related, this idea of, two opposing parties that are in disagreement, and also the idea of knowledge. Can you share a little bit? Maybe you could share your quote that you made that has to do with knowledge versus ignorance.
Yeah, all right. Maybe if I can remember it, all right. But I made a quote a long time ago, which of course, and it's if I can remember, it goes something like, um, "Knowledge is harsh, but ignorance is harsher." Um, Unfortunately, all right, we're gonna have to cut this out. Sorry.
I can read
Unfortunately,
it.
do you have it?
Yeah, why don't I read it? That actually sounds cooler. All right, so Gabriel, you said you made this quote a long time ago, right? Do you remember when?
Um, Probably like when I was 11. I don't know.
Okay, so this is Gabriel at about 11 years old. Here's an 11-year-old for you. Okay, knowledge induces fear, but ignorance is harsher. Unfortunately, the more knowledge we procure, the more we discern the paucity of it in which we harbor. That's why knowledge seems merely a provocation, as the abundance of it instigates a realization of the true ignorance one yields. So tell us
I
about that.
Yeah. So knowledge is harsh, ignorance is harsher. I guess that's explanatory. It's um well, or that's not explanatory. I guess I'm gonna have to actually dive into it in order for it to be explanatory. But let's say there's two situations
Hmm.
where you're walking through a field in both these situations, and the only difference is that the first situation is it's very light, and the other one it's dark. The field's dark,
Mm.
and you have a torch with you, and you're just walking and walking. Now around you are tons of monsters, and you are very aware of the fact that they're all around you. In this situation where there's light, you can see around you, and you can see every single one, how they look, where they're at, when they're gonna attack, everything like that. Now in the dark, you have this torch and you're just walking, but like all you can see is like a circle of light around you. You don't know when they're gonna attack, how they look, where they're coming from, nothing. Like all that's gonna be working on you is anxiety and fear. And
Hmm.
that's how like it can be harsh to know the reality of the world. But the
Yes.
thing is, you don't know the reality of the world. Like it can be worse. Like if you were to be trapped in the forest and you're trying to survive and you don't know how to survive, then you're
Mm.
not gonna survive. Like that
Yeah.
little situation. And at the end too, the more knowledge we have, the more that we realize that we don't have any, is something that pertains to like smart people. Because if you're like a very very smart individual, you know that you don't know anything. With dumb people, you can't argue with them because they don't realize that they're dumb and that they're in the wrong. Like you can argue all you want, but like they're not gonna claim that they're wrong. Because they're so dumb that they won't even see what's right.
Mm.
But like I said, smart people will realize that they don't know anything because there's so much knowledge in this world. Like, but when you keep acquiring it and you realize that there's more and more to go, like you realize how much more vast it really is.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that, you hear that from some of the most intelligent minds in the world. It's like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. But then at the same time, that doesn't mean you just like want to be ignorant, because you do need knowledge. It's obviously helpful. Yeah. Wow. I want to ask you another question too. So, uh, this is kind of on the topic of justice, which we talked about a little bit, as far as like, some people thinking of justice as revenge and such. But I want to think about just justice in its purest form, like this idea of, true fairness. And there is a type of justice where you could say justice could come from, um, someone like bestowing it, like a teacher. You're in a classroom and, you know, one kid goes and grabs all the crayons for themselves, and the teacher comes and they say, you can't do that. Let's share the crayons. And they take the crayons and they hand them out evenly. You know what I'm saying? So there's like that kind of justice. But there's also a kind that like, if we want justice in this world, if we want a fair world, and a united world, we actually have to, like, it can't just come from like an outside source. We actually have to create it. And so one thing I remember talking with you is you're sharing with me how important it is that we all are like struggling through something and working together, and like how that helps us to actually become more united and fortified. Can you elaborate on that too, please?
Well, I guess before I continue, or before I say anything at all, I'll just start this off by talking a little bit about Genghis Khan. I won't say much about him, but he was a Mongolian emperor back then, like way back then, and he conquered like 1/3 of the planet. Like he like took out 1/3 of the population. And after his reign, there was 100 years of peace, which like the common enemy is what started it, you know. And like it shows how like one thing can really like unite people. Like someone so bad literally united the world for 100 years. Like that's pretty crazy to me, honestly. But what is it called? The thing is, it's true, we do need, like, if we can't just have an outside source giving it, because if something like that happens, we're not gonna take it to heart. If someone just gives us the answer to everything, we're not gonna take it to heart. If we have like two little cities that are both messed up, and God comes into the first city and he just gives them the answer to everything, and the next generation isn't gonna know what to do. Like, first of all, they might not even believe in this God. So what's the point of like worshiping him, or like making sure like you follow what he did, or anything else? Second of all, like he solved a problem that wasn't even yours to begin with, you know? Like you're just not gonna care eventually, like you're gonna forget. But like if you have a town where like everybody just works together and solves their problems, like everybody in this united little place, I guess, solve their problems together, in the end they're all going to be like connected, you know, like they're going to know that same hardship and everything. And not only that, they solved the problem together, so they know what it was. Like they know what the problem was, because in order to solve a problem you have to know what it is, you know. You can't just be ignorant about it and solve it unless you're like real lucky. But like, and with this, now the people are already joined together, like, it's going to be easier for their children to join together, because they're already going to have that pack mindset. Same way as how dogs easily like integrated into human society, or like, and turned into man's best friend, was because they had that pack mindset. And if like everybody in the same city is like joined together, the next generation is more likely to be joined together as well. But like I said, without like learning and sharing these problems, it's hard to find peace. Like if Genghis Khan didn't come and like just demolish people and stuff like that, like people wouldn't have had that peace. There would have never been that 100-year peace. I mean, yeah, that's kind of self-explanatory, but like still, you know.
So you really see that the challenges that are put before people in some ways brings them together. So like, I'm going to bring it to today a little bit. So one challenge we face in this country is like racism. So that's like it's a really difficult challenge that all of us face. We're all affected by in one way or another. And so as opposed to someone coming and, or as it being fixed like overnight, somehow having that challenge and then all of us learning to work together to overcome it is actually going to build us up. Like we're going to be stronger, like in the long run, like at the end.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, that's also a proof of it. Racism was stopped because an outside source, the government, came and stopped it. Well, I mean, also people did march together, but the thing is, in these communities where they marched together, that's where they're most unified. In these communities where they didn't, where the problem was just solved, you know, these people still have racism in their heart, you know. So I guess that's like a pretty clear example of how that outside source won't really solve it as good. Because like, imagine you don't believe in something, and someone just comes and like tells you, now you got to believe in it, you know? Like that's the same reason people like denounce God, because like it's hard to believe in something you don't believe in, and someone just comes and tells you, especially since humans don't like really following stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Gabriel. I really appreciate that you're able to be here. And I just want to say I really enjoyed talking with you. And I enjoy it not just here, but just all this time that we've been talking since the epidemic started. So I really appreciate you. And it's always good to have a conversation with you. Thanks, Gabriel.
All right, take care, bro. I appreciate it too.
Cool. Have a good night.
Ridiculous, the sickest with it. You just a common cold, so novice. I'm the post office pushing the envelope. Musa had to remind me who the God was. I ain't on my knees, but I'm praying on him regardless. Matt need a new